Okay, so is anybody else having, I don't know if anybody else, if you upload to YouTube, is anybody else having problems with it? Because I've been trying to upload. First it wouldn't let me play shorts. Oh God. First it wouldn't let me play shorts. Then it wouldn't let me upload shorts. And then it said all of my videos were corrupted. And I couldn't upload none of them. Hi. Hello. Hobart. I can't. Hey. Hello. Nice to see you there. Honestly, but I'm honestly freezing, so I'm probably gonna put a hoodie on, and then we can talk about Succession, because I think this might have been the funniest episode in the entire series. I was bent over laughing. I think Carl was hilarious. This was genuinely funny, but also had some of the most serious things taking place. I also was super glad that they I understand. Like, we were talking about this. If you've been following my videos, we talked about Logan being sicker than he is. And I just didn't expect them to hit us with the UTI thing. Now, that's a real thing. Like, UTIs can make you super sick. That just happened to me. Like, are you going to eat that? Please don't. Like, and I thought something was seriously wrong. Now, if you know me personally, you know that I've ended up in the ICU a few times because I have an extremely high pain threshold. And I'm like, no, everything's fine. And then it's like, no, it's not fine. Now 4 feet of my intestine are gone, and it's a problem. So yeah, I've had like sepsis sit in and stuff, and that does happen. Your brain is totally fried because the infection is taking over your body. I'm just kind of glad that not only did they used a minor thing that can really affect somebody, but I was just glad they did it, because we were just having this argument at work after I literally had to call off work. I was so sick. It was almost like I had the flu, but I was in so much pain. It was terrible. It was awful. It was terrible. This infection was spreading, and I just had no idea. And if you're a woman, you know that, like, guys, you guys kind of get lucky having a wiener because that shit is closed. We leave a bathing suit on for too long, and it's like, oh no, you're going to have an issue. So just count yourselves lucky, because you guys don't have to deal with some stuff, but you guys can still get UTIs. And somebody at work had one, and it was a guy, and he like finally told this team leader, he was like, no, I have a UTI, I'm super sick, like, and they were acting like this wasn't that big of a deal. And I looked over and I'm like, well, how sick is he? This could be a problem. Like, oh no, Abby, no, it doesn't, guys don't get it. And I was like, no, guys do get that. Guys do get that. It's just way more common for women to get it. And this is he could be super sick, and he could be in a lot of pain. Like, I wasn't at work with my UTI. Like, are you kidding me? I was stuck in my bed and I was super sick. I was like, where's this guy at? Like, we need to get like cranberry juice and get him out of the plant. Like, he might be super sick. You didn't know that could be a thing. Now you do. And I liked that they used a minor thing that can be fixed very easily, but it can make you, it's an infection. It's an infection inside of your body that, if not treated, sepsis can sit in, because that's what happened to me. Here, we'll tell story time really quick, and then we're going to go through the episode because it was great. I had my appendix burst, not just inflamed, it burst. I had my appendix burst in the 5th grade. I went back to, this is what they claim happened, that I went back to physical activity too fast, and it built up a bunch of scar tissue. 2 years later, I had a bowel obstruction. They saved my intestine that time, literally with hair dryers. They brought it back to life. Oh my God, he's gonna knock something over. He ate my Pacific Rim poster, and I'm very upset about it, and he knows I'm upset about it. But, thank you. You're a very kind gentleman when you want to be. But, that happened. Well, 2019 rolls around, and thank God this happened before the pandemic. Where I'm recording at now is the loft above the garage. This used to not be connected to the house. Now it's connected to the house. At the time, it was not, and I had just moved back home with Mom. My ex and me still got along, and we were on fine terms, and he wanted to catch up on Game of Thrones. I ended up getting super sick, and I thought I had the flu. It wasn't the flu. Well, then my ex showed up, and he was like, I don't think you're okay because you're laying face down in puke and blood, and it's a problem, Ab, and you need to go into the house. And I was like, no, I'm fine. And I kept telling him I was fine, and he was like, no, you're not fine. There's something seriously wrong here. And I kept puking, and it kept becoming a problem, and then it got really bad, and I was not thinking straight. I'm telling you guys that I knew my mom had like painkillers stashed from a surgery, and I was like, oh, well, where are those at? I'll take that. I knew I needed to go to the bathroom. I knew that had to happen, and I was like, well, maybe because I've been puking for so long, there's nothing there. And so then I was like, maybe the blood is from my esophagus being hurt with bile. Like, that stuff is acidic. Like, it can fuck you up. And I had been puking for hours, so I was like, maybe that's where the blood is coming from. Well, that wasn't where the blood was coming from, and I wasn't thinking straight. By the time I got to the hospital, it was hours later. This started happening probably at like 2 p.m. I didn't get to the ER until 9 p.m., and they were like, okay, ma'am, I don't remember getting into the ER. I don't remember nothing. And now if you've ever been in like a serious amount of pain, you'll know what I'm talking about. When you get that shot or IV of morphine or Dilaudid or whatever they're giving you, and you are finally out of pain, it is just like, thank you. Thank you. All I wanted to do was nap. Now good night. I woke up 2 days later in ICU. Screaming, call Flower. That's my best friend's name. And they were like, you are a crazy person. And then my mom was like, no, she's up. I know what that means. And it was horrible. And then they told me, they were like, no, your brain was working so hard to keep your organs functioning that your way of thinking was fucking up. Like, essentially, my brain was on fire. And that's what happens when you have an infection going on inside of your body. You don't think straight. You don't know what's going on. And your way of thinking is totally correct and totally makes sense in your brain. But it doesn't, and that's an extreme case of an infection. Like I said, I was in ICU. I was in the hospital for 19 days. It was really fucking bad. It was horrible. Yeah, it was terrible. My insides were on the outside for the 3rd time in my life. It was awful. An infection was getting so bad that I was not thinking like a normal person. I'm popping any medication I can. I thought I was fine. I thought I was totally fine. I was like, no, I have the flu. And they were like, no, you're dying. You are dying. You have sepsis. You are dying. Like, and I was just like, oh. Open me up, doc. This is an extreme case, but it does. What a turd! He just curled up right on my pillow. I like how they used this and how this is true. Like, if you that can really fuck you up. And mom agreed. She was like, yeah, in older people, this can be a real problem. And I thought it was really funny when Connor brought that up and was like, Reagan almost nuked Belgium. And I'm like, I don't know if that's true, but it's like, I have been in ICU because I wasn't thinking straight, and it could have been fixed. It could have been fixed much sooner. And I thought everything was fine and dandy. I was like, oh, Game of Thrones comes on tonight. Everything will be good. But anyway, back to what I'm saying. Logan's super sick. They make a point to tell us that in the beginning of the episode. They make a point to show it throughout the episode. They make it very clear to the audience that Logan is not suffering from like Alzheimer's or dementia or something like that. That's what they're trying to convey to us when they keep bringing that up. Like, there's this issue going on now. If you've watched my other videos, you know that I do think something's up with Logan. I do think he's sicker than people know about. But coming from experience, I do know that having an infection can frazzle your brain. Before we get to the intro of greatness, we have Frank calling Kendall. I think Frank is setting everybody up. I've said this before, there was something up with that raid. Somebody knew something. I was saying that maybe it would be Jerry, but after this episode, I do not believe that Jerry is plotting against the Roy family in any way whatsoever. I don't think she is. I think she understands. The way Logan interacts with Jerry, Carl, and not as much Frank, because he knows Frank is a fucking dirty rat, the way he interacts with them in this, it shows, like, this is how far back we go. This is how well you know me. Logan does not want to be heard. He wants only the person he's speaking to know what he's saying. Normally we get this boisterous, loud, I'm telling you off, like the end of the episode, and this is where I'm getting to with Frank, Logan, where we want, when you are on a battlefield, it's kind of like how Robert Baratheon takes over and stuff. Like, he was just the biggest and the loudest and a good general and good at war. And you can just tell how Logan got to the place he is and how he became Logan Roy in this episode. You also see it with his brother when he tees off on Greg, and it's like, oh shit, can we just give it up for James Cromwell real quick? That was great. You normally get how intimidating Logan can be, but in this episode, it is, no, I am talking very low, very precisely, and I only want the people I'm speaking to know what I'm saying. This isn't for everybody to hear. And you can tell with Jerry especially, like I keep calling her the Hand of the King, but there's a reason why she's there. Because she knows by a grunt, by a look, by everything what Logan means, without Logan saying it. Now we start getting into the business world aspect of it, where I'm assuming he's not saying things out loud, because once you start saying things and having knowledge of things, then you can start getting hit with court and shit. If you have no knowledge of it, how can you get in trouble for it? I didn't know that was going on, but then it's like, if I say it, then it's a problem. This is what I really think is going on. I think Frank is setting up all of the Roy kids to look like shit. He's definitely setting Kendall up. He was definitely setting Shiv up. At the end of the episode, when Frank makes that speech, and he's like, oh yeah, and to Shiv and all her fucking great shit. No. That is not what was going on there. Do you want to know what was going on there? What was going on there was, I know you fucked up, your dad knows you fucked up, Roman knows you fucked up, and I'm going to bring attention to you now. Frank is setting these people up, and he's pissed. And I think Logan knows that he's a dirty little rat. I think that's exactly what's going on here. I think that Frank is doing a lot more behind the scenes, and he's definitely setting these kids up to fail. Rabbit, oh my god, the rabbit conversation was so funny. That was hilarious. It was just funny, point blank, and everybody online's talking about it. Now, I took this as Do you guys remember when Kendall, just like I was saying in my last recap, when Kendall goes to talk to Stewie and Sandy in the restaurant, and he says, my dad had to make a call, and Stewie says, oh, what, that 1980s power move? And he's like, what the fuck? But that's when he says the line, we will poison your pets, fuck your wives, we will drive you insane with personal investigators and all this shit. And it's like, I think that the paranoia is really starting to get to Ken. I think that it wasn't the bagel that set him off. It was, how much power does my dad have? Did he poison the rabbit? Did he make it sick? What's going on here? But that's also your dad's fault. That's Logan's fault for being a dick. I don't think it's unwarranted for Kendall to be worried about this shit. I just don't think Logan would do it. I don't think Logan would do. I think he would do some pretty despicable things. We've seen him do some pretty despicable things. I just don't see him doing. I think he knows, like Roman said, and he will fall apart like he loves to do. Logan knows who he has to push, and Logan knows who he doesn't have to push over the edge. Do you know what I'm saying? And so that's why I'm like, no, I think that Kendall's just losing it. Frank phone call, and then Frank bringing attention to Shiv. Frank's up to some shit. But Roman knows. And I keep saying this, Roman is the baby. I'm the baby. This episode showed how much it really feels like to be the baby, even if you're not in a family like this. Everybody thinks you're a sneak. Everybody thinks you're trying to get one over on the parent. Everybody is pissed at you because you get away with more. It just is a fact. Like, and I really loved the ending when Roman walks up to his dad after he yells at Shiv, and she's looking at him like, are you fucking kidding me? Because that's exactly how it feels to be the baby. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, they get away with fucking whatever they want. Especially with me and my mom. Like, I am the most like my mom, and Roman is the most like his dad. Instinctively, emotionally, Roman is the most like Logan. A whole episode, Roman knows some shit is up. He knows some shit is up. He knows something is wrong. He knows that something's wrong with his dad, and that is why he keeps going, oh no, he's here to kick ass and take names. He's here to do this. Like, I think he's trying to psych himself into knowing nothing's wrong with his dad, and he's also protecting his dad. First scene of him and Logan together, he knows something's wrong with his dad. He knows he's not okay. You have Shiv overstepping her place and going, oh no, but I have authority to do that. I can do this, I can do that. And you can even tell, like, there's a real power dynamic, like I've been saying since episode 1 of this season, between her and Jerry. She's got a real thing with Jerry, and it's solely based on, like, woman versus woman, I think. I think that she like I've been saying, Logan does not underestimate women. He doesn't. Kendall does. Logan does not underestimate women. He knows that they can just be as just as formidable as a man can be, and not to underestimate them. Shiv is so focused on Jerry that she can't see around her. In this episode in particular, but I do think that there's something there with, like, this irks me that you are so close with my dad, and I don't get it. Like, there's something, Shiv's got a real issue with that. We have Colin. Have they ever really called him by name? But we have Colin, who's essentially Logan's, like, helper and, like, bodyguard, asking him if he's hydrated, asking him if he took his meds. Like, that is stated throughout the episode, and that's only done, like I said, to show the audience that this isn't a bigger medical thing going on behind the scenes. When they go to talk to Sandy, that shit was funny. And that's what I mean about this episode. This episode was so funny. It was almost like a skit show. And I know that was hilarious when they were talking. And I thought it was really funny that the daughter's named Sandy too. And not only does that helps the audience stay on track of who we're talking about. We don't have to change up the name. It's still Sandy and Stewie. But now it's just kind of this funny thing of, like, which Sandy? The one who can talk. Like, it was supposed to be uncomfortable and funny. When Tom said the vote boat, that was hilarious. He was like, yeah, well then to the vote boat. Tom has been so funny. Tom has been on, and why don't I write down actors' names? Oh shit, we'll get to that, but why don't I write down actors' names? But Tom has been hilarious. He's been on point this whole time. But the vote boat, Connor showing up, Roman saying, great, it's so essential that you're here. That was funny, but once again, we're putting down Connor. We are not being nice to Connor, and he is pissed, and he's not having it. I do want to notice something that I thought was very interesting, that the first time Logan goes to the bathroom, and we get a scene without him, if we take the seat that he was sitting in as a throne, even though it's just a seat in a room, Roman is the one sitting in it. Roman is the one calling the shots. Roman is the one the entire episode going, Dad don't like that shit. Dad wouldn't like that. He's the one who thinks most like his dad, and he's the one who's in the seat, quote unquote, the throne, when his dad is absent. They're telling him we need to delay the vote. Logan is talking about calling the White House, get the SEC to shut the shit down. And now, I don't know about you guys, but that was when shit started getting really uncomfortable. Because it's like, we all know that shit goes on. You know what I mean? Like, we all know, like, hey, the media kind of sucks and the government probably does shifty shit. But we don't, like, see it in something. And now we're seeing it and hearing it in this show. And it's uncomfortable. That probably happens. Someone's probably buddies with somebody and they probably do something and it's fucking gross. That probably happens. Because when Kendall starts talking about change and how he genuinely wants it, and I do believe that about Kendall, I do believe that he genuinely wants to change things, I just don't think it's for the right reasons. You didn't want change back in season 1 until you and your dad had a rift. Now you want change. But I did like how Stewie said, save that shit for Vanity Fair, and then the entire conversation changes up because you can tell Kendall's like, I kind of thought we had the same outlook, and now I'm realizing we don't, and I'm alone. Stewie is great. Everybody is great this episode. I will be shocked if this isn't the episode they use for the Emmys. Now, if you don't know how the Emmys work, because I didn't really understand it until I really started looking into it, what happens with the Emmys is they don't put a whole show in to be nominated. They put in, 2 episodes or something? And those 2 episodes are what they gauge the awards off of. I would be shocked if this episode isn't put in for that, because everybody's on point in this, and Stewie is great in it. Now we're going to get to, like I said, Carl, Jerry, and Frank all know what's up, but Logan is actively leaving Frank out because I think he knows that Frank is being a sneak rat. But Jerry and Carl know the grunts and the looks and how everything is because they've been through this before. Jerry says it several times. She's like, this is not the first time we've been in this position. Like, and we see this precise way of speaking from Logan, or these grunts and stuff. And then, like I said, the factor of him being sick plays in, but they know what's going on. I really loved that Logan knew something's wrong. Something's wrong. They know something we don't. Something is amiss here. If you watch Logan, he is watching who talks to who's speaking for how long. He's watching Roman's interactions. He's watching Shiv's interactions. He's watching everybody's interactions. Now, I don't know if you want to chalk that up to, like, he's losing it in this episode, but I really just think they wanted to handicap the family this episode and, like, really freak them out and give them a reason not to have Logan at the helm. Not completely out, but, like, what would it be like if something really happened? Kendall calls Shiv and starts being a sneak. Like I said, look at all these people I had interactions with. Frank. Fucking Frank. Like that they brought the syphilis thing up again, because we never really find out what's going on with Sandy. But if you guys remember back in the, what was it called when they went on the retreat? These big names and all these tech people. That episode is when the syphilis rumor starts getting spread about Sandy. Are you, okay, making your way in here. Let's not destroy things. Sandy's essentially a vegetable. We've already talked about that. It was pretty funny. Shiv is just acting. Connor is completely right when he says Shiv's a fake. Roman is the one calling the shots. Roman is the one going, some shit is up here. Like, what the fuck is this? This is ridiculous. Besides it just being funny and uncomfortable, I really loved watching Jerry and Sandy's daughter, so other Sandy, tee off on one another. That was like, this whole episode, when people like that started to speak to each other, it was like watching Titans in a boxing ring, but with words, and I really liked that. And I really like that you... What is wrong, sweet boy? Hobart, you're kind of scary. Where were we? That really scared me. Isn't that scary? Doesn't he have a scary bark? Winston's a pit bull, and he don't sound like that. Okay, thank you. We'll let you out. You can go see. Thank you. Okay, thank you. You're a good boy. Thank you. Let's go see. You know, you always want, like, a guard dog to protect you, but it's like, I would be very scared of that. They do say that. They say that a dog is more likely to scare off an intruder than a gun. Just so you guys know, it's a fact. If I heard that, even if I was welcome, I think I would leave, because he's a baby. That's a baby. Just sitting like a sentinel outside my door. He's so good. He loves me so much. I love him. Just sitting there. He's just sitting there, not happy, grunting. Okay, where were we? Titans of industry, Jerry, women, empowerment. Where were we? In my notes, I have Jerry holds strong and maintains control. She never once, like, breaks the conversation or stutter steps. That's the whole episode. This whole thing was who's going to show their belly first. Do you get what I'm saying? Who's going to roll over first and bend to the other person? And that's this whole episode, and that's exactly what Shiv does, and that's not what Logan would do. And Stewie was saying, yeah, no, you have tons of time. And then after they leave the room, he goes, yeah, I'm just telling them how much time they have. What the fuck? I was laughing out loud at this episode. I was literally bent over laughing at some points. Oh, speaking of bent, when Roman tells Jerry, with all due respect, get bent. Like, I liked that, because it was just like, you know how I feel about you, Jerry. And this shit you're saying I don't like. And you can tell that Jerry is affected by that, and that she finally comes back to and isn't thinking just analytically. She, like, finally with emotion is like, okay, I upset people at this point. And that's why I'm saying I don't think Jerry... I said something in one of my other videos where I was like, I think that Jerry might be in on something, trying to flex her control here. But now after this episode, I really don't think that's happening. I think it's Frank. If anybody's involved, it's going to be Frank. You do notice that is when Jerry says, like, I do have to check in. I don't think she really did have to check in. I think that she was going, oh shit, I fucked up and I don't like the way I acted. Thank you, you're a good boy, I see it. Drool is very nice. Very nice drool. Thank you, good boy. Oh, Jerry checking in. I don't think she really had to check in. I think that was her way of, like, reeling back what she had done and going like, oh no, I feel bad. Oh, and then we get, I really like Carolina as a character because she's involved in so much but isn't. You know what I mean? It's the same thing with Jess. Like I said, with all these people in the background, you have to remember, and what have we all been saying? Jess is fed up with this shit with Kendall. She is so over Kendall's bullshit. And then we finally see it this episode, and I really liked that a lot because I was like, yeah, no, she's over this shit. You can tell she's just done. But Carolina is kind of the same way, but I think she's more of a power player because Carolina's obviously in charge of shit. You know what I mean? Like, not saying that Jess isn't, but she's Kendall's assistant. And I'm sure that is a ton of fucking work that I couldn't do. But Carolina does stuff. You know what I mean? And she is audibly, like, she's actively listening to Connor's conversation with Logan. So she's probably the only one who knows what Connor and Logan have spoken about. And this is what I mean about saying things and Logan being heard by other people. You can tell that he's like, shut the fuck up, Connor. There's someone right there. You can tell what he's doing, you know what I mean? And it's like, no, because once people hear it and then it's more than us, then they can say they fucking heard it. And they can say that I did these things, you moron. And so I think that's exactly why Connor gets cable in Europe at the end. But I really loved their conversation, and I really loved Connor this whole episode. It was gross, but it was, well, Alan Ruck was great. Why do I know that actor, but I can't remember anybody else? So, but when it comes to Connor and Logan, I think Logan understands, he understands fully what his son is doing. He knows that he's being a blackmaily asshole without saying it out loud when he says, you never showed interest. And then he's like, can we find common ground here, Dad? It's like, you just know your kids, you know what I mean? And I think that Logan knows, all right, okay, Connor, you fucking asshole. And then we'll get to that, because now like I said, I think I know what's going, the second I heard what they were trying to take away from Logan, I was like, oh, we think we have a deal. We don't like the deal. We get Roman and Jerry back together again. We get Roman calling her out, and you can tell that really bothers her, that she bothered him. We have Shiv telling, like I said with Shiv and Jerry, there's this weird tension going on, and Shiv says, well, he's my dad. And she's like, go right ahead. Go ahead. You call him. Go right ahead. We have Kendall and Greg. Oh my God, what an asshole. Ken is essentially saying, I'm going to fuck you over, Greg. And that was mean and bad and fucked up. And then he called him a bottom feeder. And you can tell that bothered Greg. He's like, bottom feeders don't go to jail. And it's like, Jesus, that's your family. Tells him, if you drop from the defense, then I'll be cool with you. Like, fuck you, Kendall, you fucking prick. Greg having a crush on that lady who runs the, what is it, social media. Oh my God, how sweet is that? And he's the only one that's like trying to be nice and normal in their relationship. And we'll get to Tom and Shiv, because I have a problem with people getting mad at Tom. And James Cromwell, when Greg goes to talk to his grandpa, and James Cromwell yells at him and says, you don't take my friend for a fucking ride anywhere. It was like, you're a scary Roy. You're a scary Roy too. Oh, I see how you guys are the way you are. And what else does he say? I know I'm not an uncomplicated man, Greg. And he's just, I keep saying this, I really, really want them to go into the backstory. We get Logan saying, I don't do ancient history. I don't go backward. I don't do this. And we'll get to the cat thing in a minute, because I thought that was very telling too about their backstory. I want to give it up for James Cromwell, because like I said, he doesn't have very much in these seasons, but the scenes he does have, I know James Cromwell is great, but like that really came through in this. Like Logan is, I mean, Brian Cox is amazing, like I said, but it's just like, James Cromwell, man, you give me really, like I said, I know why you and Logan are so similar. Greg tries so hard. He really does. I don't think it's not genuine with Greg. I really don't. I think that he genuinely wants to like hug his grandpa and shit. Notice that he does not hug him back. They don't do physical, I care about you. And he even tells him, he's like, his way of getting love across is like, you asked me for help and I showed up. And that's a big thing with them, obviously, is respect. And he's like, you fucked me, essentially. You had me do all this shit and you couldn't even give me a phone call. Like, that's very old school, and honestly, I agree with that. Like, I agree with being that way, and I don't think that's a bad thing. There are just certain things in life where you don't text somebody and you don't not tell them, you call or you see them face to face and you have a conversation, and that's just how Ewing is. And I really loved this scene, even though he was only there for a minute, that Ewing drops the big bad facade for a minute and just says, because kid, you need to take yourself seriously. Like, he's just telling Greg, like, you need to wake up. This isn't a game. Like, this is serious. When Greg talks about suing him, I've been saying this. I'm like, something's going to happen with Ewing and Greg. Ever since season 1, I thought this. I was like, oh, he might leave his board seat to Greg. Greg could be a major player in this if he really wants to be. And Logan has a soft spot for him. Ewing says that he's not leaving any of his money to his family, that he's going to leave it to Greenpeace. This is when the episode got super fucking funny, okay? This is when it got really funny. It was the start of Frank's speech. So Frank starts off his speech. He's covering for Jerry, and it's hilarious. It is so funny. And Carl was so funny this episode. Roman pumping Logan up, saying how great he is, and I think that's Roman telling himself his dad's going to be okay. We have Greg worrying the whole time. The shots in this episode were really cool because Succession does this great of like these episodes, or not episodes, these people and characters like bleeding into the next one without even noticing that they're there. Like, you know what I mean? Like Shiv comes walking into the room, but then we're not cutting. We stay on that same shot, but then it's now Roman's talking. Now Greg is worried in the background. So all of this is going on all at once. It's a very fast-paced episode, and it was very long, and I liked that. But Logan says they were always going to settle. So what the fuck's going on here? And then we get the other shoe that drops, and they said, we're going to take away the private jets. Okay, everybody, stick with me here, because this is where I have personal things that I'm like, no, do you guys not know what's happening? They're trapping him. They're trapping him. The government, somebody, and like I said, if this wasn't in the 1%, we wouldn't be feeling this way, but because of the context of the show and stuff, we kind of are like, yeah, no, you're a bad guy. You know what I mean? But we're supposed to be cheering for the Roy family, and I'm like, we don't want them to be trapped. They're trapped. They're trapped. They're cornering you. They are cutting down your ways to get out of a situation. And remember what he says? Call my brother. Have him be ready in case we need to fucking land there. Where are we going? These are all places without extradition laws. What did they just do? Knocked his knees out from underneath him by taking away the private jets. We cannot go everywhere we want now. Phone call about the rabbit being sick. This is when Kendall starts to spiral. I really liked when Greg came up to talk to Jerry, and I think Roman meant this shit when he said, is this business or friendly? And he's just saying, like, don't talk to the girl I like. Ain't having this shit. Then they tell Carl to go vamp. And it's so funny. From Carl walking down the hallway to getting on stage, like, I think everybody can relate to that. And I mean, I'm not saying that we've all given speeches like that to shareholders, but I think we've all been in that position of like, hey, buddy, I need to really go run around and do some shit. So I'm sorry, but you're going to get fucked for a minute, and I'll be back in a little bit. Remember what Logan said. Logan ain't stupid. He knows his people. Carl likes to be liked. He doesn't want to be out there during all the bad shit, but the second that they can say they settled, and the second they can say, oh, we did a good thing, who's out there talking? Carl, because Carl likes to be liked. Slow it down. I'm needed elsewhere. It was so funny. It was so funny and so well done. Here we get to the best part of the episode, and I couldn't say it, but I looked over at my mom. The second they went up to Logan and they told him the deal, and right before he says, fuck him, I looked over at her and I was like, F off. F off. That's what Logan's going to say. F off. And then he's like, fuck him. And I loved it. Shiv is really pushy. This is when the confusion starts to come in. He's already been going to the bathroom several times. They say there's no deal, but then because he's sick, they kind of back that up, and they're like, should we change it? What's going on? Roman has some of the best lines this episode. This is classic fucking dad. Like, but that's true. Like I said, it's not just knowing your dad. It's you have the instincts like your dad, and you know something's off, Roman. Not only that, he's also the only kid who says that is not the main concern right now. The main concern is to make sure our dad is okay, and you guys are trying to jumpstart him like a fucking truck. And it's like, thank you. Somebody being a good family member. But that's true. I'm the baby. We are the ones who are the most concerned. We are the ones who need our mommy and daddy the most. It's just a fact. It just is what it is. Like, and I thought they did a very good job of getting that across without saying it. Get the confusion coming in from Logan, and once the confusion starts, we get the panic in the room, and it's even funnier. It's hilarious. It makes the episode hilarious. And we get Jerry is watching Roman's every move, everything he says, and I don't think it's just because she likes him or whatever. I think it's because she knows you're the most like your dad. I've been around him the most. I've been around him more than anybody, and I can see who is most like him. Honestly, now that I'm saying it out loud, it might be part of the sexual tension between them. Is like, oh, well, I never did stuff with Logan, and I never kind of liked him like that, but I can find a younger version of him more attractive right now, because if we switched, this is what I really like about Succession, and we'll get to this with Tom, they flip-flop a lot of the gender roles, the average norm gender roles, because if we made this a man that was older and a woman, people would be calling him a creep. But because it's a woman, we're like, no, get it, Jerry, and I appreciate that, but at the same time, I'm like, do you guys see how they're doing this here? And I really like it. From Sandy and from Shiv saying, I just do what my dad tells me is great. Shiv writing the note to Greg and him running. Like I said, this whole episode is just funny. And then we get Logan freaking out saying, call the White House, get the SEC to shut this down, let's do this, blah, 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 blah. Then they're like, no, he's really losing his mind. And then we have Tom and Logan in the bathroom. And I thought that was really sweet because once again, Tom is the bully hanging out with other bullies, that he's a dick, yeah. But when he's alone, he's kind of not. He's just putting on a show for everybody. And I think that he really, like, no matter who that would have been, whether it was Greg or Logan or whoever it was, whoever was in that room, whether it was Kendall, like, it wouldn't have mattered. I think Tom would have stepped up to the plate and been like, you're not okay. Like, are you okay? Like, we need to get you seen by somebody. And it just shows how sweet Tom is. Huey phone call calling Sandy the angriest fucking vegetable. Hilarious. Tom just wants to get help, and then he says, thanks, son. And I definitely think that's I think Logan knows the weight of his words. He does know the weight of his words, but I really do think he was appreciative of Tom being there and not being a dick. And I think he was glad. I think that's why he picked Tom. I think he picked Tom because he didn't want to look weak in front of Logan. Or not Logan, Roman. And he didn't want to look weak in front of one of his own children. But Tom is like the next closest thing that isn't family. I'm saying, you're welcome, Pop. Papa. I don't know how they got through that without laughing. I would love to see a gag reel because I don't know how they got through that scene without laughing because I was laughing so hard because it's very serious. Like having a sick elderly parent or a sick elderly person, and like it's not funny. Like it's very scary and this was very scary, but every 5 seconds they had us laughing. To Logan's freak out because Logan isn't thinking straight. And like I said, I've been in that position. It's very scary. And when you look back on it and you realize how sick you were, it's not fun. And we have him yelling about Marcia. And then we have him talking about get the dead cat out of this room because I don't want Rose to see it. So your sister is coming up into your subconscious. Like I've been saying, I want to know more about what happened here. Also, I think that not only was the dead cat thing funny, but it's like, no, I think you were used to that type of behavior. I think that was something that totally could have happened in your life was there's something dead in this room and I don't want my sister to have to deal with it. Logan feels very protective of Rose. So when she gets brought up, it is a very serious thing. And so even though he's super sick and confused, I think that was a very big detail of there's a dead cat under my seat. I don't want my sister to see it. I think that Logan and Ewing took on a lot more than we know and than his kids know so that his sister would not have to deal with it. And that speaks volumes about your character. I'm just saying I don't see Kendall, Roman, Connor, or Shiv stepping up to take abuse so that the other wouldn't have to. I could see them hiding so the other one would have to take it. That's what I mean here. And I think that Logan and Ewing stepped up to the plate as kids. And that is hard. If you know people who have gone through abusive situations and stuff, it is not a fucking joke. Like, that shit is rough on somebody, and it affects them the rest of their life. I'm not saying it makes this character any better. Logan is still a jerk. Like, it still does. I just think that's very telling, and it was super funny, though. Finding out about the UTI, we end up finding out about the infection. Connor has his super funny line, and then Kendall shows up. And when Kendall shows up, he's like, what the fuck? But notice what happens here. This is the first time that we've ever seen Roman almost get physical with somebody. We've gotten Kendall freaking out. We've gotten Kendall getting in people's faces. I said this before. I thought it was very telling about Kendall as a character. Iverson gets hit in the Thanksgiving episode. And you can tell that that is not just a dad stepping up to protect his son. You can tell that Kendall has done this before. And you can tell that he says it. He's like, remember when you beat the shit out of Roman so bad that it was like, it was this, and this? And it's like, oh, you've watched this go down before. And that's what I mean. I definitely think there are cycles of abuse going on here that were not broken. But I just don't think that Ewing and Logan abused their children the same way they were abused. The first time we see Roman step up and be pissed, and he's like, why don't you get the fuck out of here? Like, you actually give a fuck. And I do think that if this would have been a different family and not these hoity-toity fucks, this would have already came down to blows. We would have already been fighting. This would have already gotten physical. I am stepping up to defend my dad right now, and I don't need your shit. And then right after that, he says to Shiv, call me when he's less scary. This is bothering Roman that his dad is not okay. Not about the company, not about the shareholders. He is bothered, and he is coming to defend his dad this whole episode. It has nothing to do with the company. It has to do with, I'm defending dad, and I'm going to do what dad would want, and I'm not, and for the first time, I think one of these characters is not thinking about themselves. We get him some cranberry juice and ask him about the deal again. Like I said, I don't know if this is just funnier because I'm a woman and we deal with this shit all the time. Like, if it's not this, it's this. If it's not that, it's that. If it's not that, it's this. Like, there's shit. Like, we go through problems all the fucking time. Like I said, you leave your bathing suit on too long, you get some kind of infection. Like, it sucks. But it's just like, I just thought that was really funny because it's like, no, we slam cranberry juice like it ain't shit. Like, no, give me cranberry juice, bring that in here. So I thought that was really funny. And like I said, Roman has some of the best lines. Oh, when Carl said, when they were asking if Logan could go on stage. And Carl said, it would be really great if we could get the body up there. Like I said, these are very serious situations, like a sick parent, sick people, like older, like things are happening. It's very serious, but they made it so funny. If we could get the body up there. And then this shit starts to bother Roman. He gets really bothered by this. Shiv is the one who's like, yeah, do it. He's the one who's like, stop. This is crazy. We're not doing this. We're not playing this game. It's an imaginary cat. Now fuck off. They were saying piss mad. That was so funny. It was so funny. This whole thing was funny. We get Jerry and Frank teeing off. Like, You can just tell that this is panic. This is panic, and this is now we're all fighting each other, and there's fighting amongst ourselves because the helm is not sturdy. Once again, when Brian Cox was so good this episode, and Tom is saying, well, somebody was nasty to him. Well, who was nasty? Who was nasty to him? Nobody can be nasty to Frank but me. Like, it was so funny. But we also get Jerry on stage getting fucked over by Frank, and that was super funny too. And then the things we hear her say are like, I've been here 30 years. Like, once again, we get the reinforcement that it's like, Jerry's been here a minute, and she knows exactly what she's doing. She knows how to play the game. She's very smart. Like, she's very formidable. Like, don't cross Jerry. Cute was it when Jerry said Roman's name, and he got so happy. This is just a who will show their belly first contest, and Roman is against it. He's like, I don't care if Dad's sick. I know what he would want to happen, and he does not want this deal to happen. Shiv makes it happen. She's doing some sneak shit. She's getting extra board seats in for herself. I mean, I'm not a business person. I work in a factory, and it sucks. I don't recommend it to anybody, but can somebody explain why it's such a big deal for board seats to, like, this is what I mean. If you're adding... Okay, I know they didn't want to give up 4. I understand why board seats are a big deal. That's not what I'm saying here. What I'm saying here is, if we're evening them out by saying, like, okay, if we give you 4, then we're going to take 5 plus another, like, don't we have the same amount of seats again, but just more people at them? I'm sure that there's more to it than that. I mean, I'm sure it's a very big thing. I'm just saying, like, I get it. I get it. I wanted to know. Like, so if anybody's in business or whatever, and you understand this better than I do, can you explain it to me? I'm serious. I don't know why, if we add this many, if we're giving you 4, but then we also are taking extras, why is this so significant? Like I said, the jets were more concerning to me, and I think that that's where they wanted people to look, was going, oh, we're worried about the board seats, we're worried about the board seats. Who gives a fuck about private jets? Not everybody has private jets. I don't have a private jet. Do any of you guys have a private jet? I highly fucking doubt it. That is, you know what I mean? But I'm over here going like, no, fuck the board seats. You're trapping me. You're trapping me. I don't care if it's my car, my jet, my horse. You take away my way to get out of somewhere. I got a problem with it. If you guys do notice, Shiv pulls all this bullshit while Jerry is busy and stuck on stage. And guess who's not on stage? And adding to the kerfuffle, Frank. When the president called, and they were all playing hot potato with the phone, that was hilarious. And then we get Roman talking to the president, and you kind of think that it goes well, and then you're like, oh shit, that did not go well. They left a comment saying, they were like, wouldn't it be really interesting if Connor actually did win the presidency? And I at first was thinking like, there's no way they would go that far with it. And now I'm like, oh my God, they might. And I've talked about this with my mom, but definitely not on camera, where I said before, I was like, it would be really funny once Connor gets involved, because Willa, who I've said not to count out several times, is very smart. She is not stupid. She's the one who makes sure that the writer of Logan's biography don't get no information at Mo Lester's funeral, and they look at each other and nod like, I see you. And it would just be really interesting and funny to really have, okay, this guy's in power, but really it's a call girl that is calling the shots, and she's really not all that stupid. I just think that'd be a very interesting little thing, a little tidbit of information. And because he says that, he's like, what if we could get rid of your record? What if we could do this? What if we could do that? And it's like, no, I think Willa would have a lot on her fucking plate if he won the presidency. And I really do think that is the way they are going with this. It's just, I think that, I don't know, that could be really crazy if they do that all the way. That would be nuts. We have Connor happy. We have Shiv calling Tom and telling him that she made the deal happen and she's this great fucking business person. We have Carl and Jerry looking at each other like, fuck me. And then we have Roman giving the final call. Do you guys notice that? It's Roman who gives the final go-ahead. Not anybody else. They all look to Roman, and then he goes, go ahead, fucking do it then, fucking do it then. And what was the other line he had? Oh, Dad. He says it about Tom. He says something like, oh, you know how much Dad loves that, and going against what he says, or something like that. Roman had the best lines this episode, and this episode was great. With the gender norms being flip-flopped, if this was a woman wanting a baby, we would all be like, oh, that's sweet. But because it's Tom, I feel like there's a lot of people out there that are going like, wow, what a creep. And I'm like, no, I've been saying this. Tom can't get out of this marriage. Look at what they're doing to Rava. Look at how Ken treats Rava. You think he can get away from this family? What does Cersei say in Game of Thrones? Give her a baby. Give her a baby, and she'll finally have something to live for. About Sansa to Joffrey. He's like, once you give her a kid, she can live for that. That's what kept me going. That's what kept me going as a person, is being a parent, not you, because I fucking hate you. And I think that's kind of where Tom is at. I don't think he fully hates Shiv, but he does need something to keep him going. And it's like, what's wrong with him wanting to have a baby? Should you have that conversation first with your partner? Definitely. You shouldn't just be like sneakily trying to get them pregnant. That is a problem all around. You shouldn't want to do that. But like I said, in this show, Tom just wants something nice. Tom just wants unconditional love. He lost Greg. He lost Shiv. Like, he doesn't really have that, and he just wants a kid. And not only would that help him get by, I think having a kid with this family makes you a bit more important. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Because now you have the heir. And then I saw this online too. Roman doesn't have a kid. I don't know why people keep saying that. That was Grace's kid. That was Roman's girlfriend's kid. They make a very clear, and I'm not trying to be a dick here. I'm just saying, like, I remember that being a thing, and then I saw people bringing it up yesterday. What day is it? Yeah, last night. I saw people bringing it up, and I was like, no, they make a very conscious effort to say, like, those are my girlfriend's children, and it's when they're watching the Big Giant Turkey movie that he hates in season 1. Yeah, no, this is what I like about the gender norms being switched up, because normally, in shows, it's the man wanting to go out of the marriage, it's the man that wants to do stuff, it's the man that wants, but in this, no, it's Shiv, it's the girl, it's the woman who is doing things outside of the marriage, she's the one that isn't excited to be married, normally it's the bride, really it's the groom in this, and I just like that they switch that up and make that okay, and I like that, because I really hate it when guys are like, oh, I can't want or feel certain things because I'm a guy, and it's like, no, that's bullshit. That's society telling you that you can't like things. And that's what Tom says. He's like, this is supposed to be nice and you're making it sound horrible. Like, but yeah, it is kind of, you shouldn't just plot it behind their back. You should talk to them about it. But I thought it was kind of sweet that Tom wanted to have a baby, and that I think that really would make him happy. Like, well, here's the thing. Adding babies into things won't make you happy. It won't. Okay? Just so you know. Like, that will only add to problems. But when you are in the 1%, I'm sure it's a lot easier than on the average person, you know what I mean? When he says, you might need company, I think he's talking about himself. Once again, just like with the last episode with the dog, he's talking about himself. He's not talking about Shiv. He doesn't care about her having company. He wants company. And like I've been saying, I don't think Tom's gonna fall for this. I think Logan might have Shiv get in trouble. I'm just saying, there's something up. Said with Carl liking to be liked, he's the one who wants to go out on stage now after everything and tell everybody the good news. How uncomfortable was it when Ken showed up? Oh my god. Just like with the Nirvana scene, I was like, oh my god. This was funnier than the Nirvana scene at first, and then it wasn't. You know what I mean? It's meant to be uncomfortable. It's meant to be like, oh my god. Because he's essentially doxing these people. You understand that? Like, by going out on something that's being live streamed and yelling people's full names, and like, now you're opening it up to their families are being invested. Now any average Joe can go and look at their family, dig up their history. These people have been assaulted and murdered and stuff. You don't know if they want their shit public. And I was like, no, Ken, no. And then I'm like, are you really setting up this foundation to be nice? Or are you just like, do you not get it? Like, that's very nice of you if you're telling the truth, but Jesus Christ. And I really do think Ken does want change, but he's losing it. And I was saying this to Mom. I was like, as we know the characters as an audience, but put yourself in a business world aspect and be like, what in the ever-loving fuck is going on up here? Like, what? Like, you would go like, you're crazy and you're losing it. But I was just I don't know if it's because I do this or what, and I know the severity of putting somebody's information out there like that. Like, Jesus Christ, like, you just don't do that. And it's not even sometimes for that person, which it should be about that person, but it's also the people around them. Like, it's a very dangerous thing to do. We're all watching it on tape, and it's like, fucking stop him. Do we have security? I was like, oh my god, I was thinking the same shit as they were saying it, and they just did a very good job of conveying that as the audience, we are thinking these things, and they're saying it, you know what I mean? They're like, fucking stop him, fucking knock him down, go get security, where's security, what's going on? The mics, he kept yelling, and like I said, I think this is just Ken unraveling, and it's super sad. Logan and Jerry talking, and like I said, they're off to the side, they're having their own little conversation. Logan doesn't really want to be overheard by other people. She says, are you feeling better? I really liked that because, like I said, she knows exactly how Logan acts. She knows 100% how this man acts. She knows 100% how he behaves. She's used to this. She knows what it's like in times of war. She knows what it's like in times of peace. And she's just like, really? You don't have any little fit? Because I've been here a long time, and I'm really, shut up. Oh my god, Greg talking about suing Greenpeace. I really like your style, Greg. Who's next? Feed the children? This episode was so funny. This is the only time we get Logan yelling, and then, like I said, if you notice, who sets her up to be yelled at? Frank. We have Logan versus Shiv, and he's screaming, cussing her out, and you can tell she's super embarrassed, and then she goes back to get the hug from Tom, and Tom even says, like, I'm not trying to be a creep this time, I'm just trying to give you a hug, and once again, it's showing, like, Tom has genuine feelings, like, he cares, like I said with the bathroom, I just think that's who Tom is. I think Tom would have stepped up to be there, whether it was his wife, his friend, whatever, after they get, and I also think it ties back to Bora on the floor, like, I've been a victim of him being nuts, so it's not fun, and I'm trying to be there for you. But if you notice, all the kids, like, not Roman as much, but Shiv is, like, acting like this is a giant win, and we're through the woods now. Logan knows, no, we are still tense, it is still war, there's shit going down, something's not right. I really liked the way he spoke, not liked it, but the way he spoke to Shiv right before he cusses her out. He's talking like a dad yelling at a 5-year-old. He's like, I am trying to talk to Jerry about something important. How many times have you been yelled at by your parents saying, I am on the phone right now? I really have in my notes, Roman coming up to dad. That's exactly how I feel. Because like I said, that's exactly how the baby is. Like, you just reamed out the middle child. Hey, let me get in here because we're besties. Like, that's just how it is being the baby. It's not our fault. And not only, like, Ken breaking was super sad, because I love Kendall. I do. I made a whole video about him, and I haven't posted it yet, because YouTube is acting shitty. It keeps telling me it's corrupted. I don't know what I'm doing, so if anybody could help me, that would be cool. But Logan's power move on Kendall, of having him say, like, oh, your dad has a room for you, and then just not being there and leaving. I do think that Logan did not want to run into Kendall. And I do think Kendall, I think something bad's going to happen to Ken. And I really hope it isn't. I don't know. I think I don't want to say it because I really hope that's not it. Because when he says block this number permanently for me, I'm like, oh no. This is like, I'm really cutting you off for real. And that's like, I'm not even using your name. And do you guys remember in Silence of the Lambs when she says, that's smart, that's so smart. And she says, what is? And she says, using her name like that, it makes you look at somebody like they're a person. And speaking of Hannibal Lecter, Brian Cox plays Hannibal Lecter. Where are you at? There's my Hannibal Lecter. But Brian Cox plays Hannibal Lecter in Manhunter before Silence of the Lambs came out. It's really creepy. If you want a creepy movie to watch, go watch Manhunter and just think about, I don't know how old I was, 8 when I watched it. I don't know, me and Elaine thought it was something else and it wasn't what we thought, and it was very disturbing and it's very scary and it's creepy as shit. I think it's based off Red Dragon, right? Yeah, it's based off one of those, but anyway, she says, that's so, I totally didn't even make that connection, but she says, that's so smart using her name, then he'll see her as a person and not an object. So when he says block this number permanently, and he doesn't call him his son, he doesn't call it Kendall, like when you're not using somebody's name, it makes it a lot easier to dehumanize them. Does that make sense? And that's exactly what Brian Cox as Logan Roy is doing when he says block this number permanently. Like, they ain't shit. I really don't want Kendall to hurt himself. That's not what I want, because the reason I think that is because, okay, the two things that make me think some shit is going to happen with these kids is, remember the last time Logan had alcohol spilled on him on accident? Someone died. So I'm like, I don't see it being Shiv, but I could see something happening to her because that's what happened last time. But that would be too obvious. But I'm like, I really hope Kendall doesn't hurt himself. That's all I'm saying. That would really bother me. Like, I really hope that doesn't happen. Is it 4:19? Why do I have my alarms set for 4:19? Sorry, guys. But anyway. Yeah. This episode's fucking great. And I really do. I really hope that Kendall doesn't end up hurting himself, because that's kind of what I think is going to happen here. But I'm really excited. After this episode, I'm really super pumped. Is anybody else super pumped? Did you guys watch the fucking next episode promo that they had out where they were like, oh, we're picking the next president? And like I said, I'm like, no, taking away the jets is backing me into a corner. It's not, you just think of it on a small scale. There's a hallway right there, right behind the camera. Okay, we take that away. Now there's only one exit over there. Okay. Well, now I have to go out that exit. You know what I mean? So by taking something away like that, it's like, okay, what are we doing? What are we doing? What's going on with the DOJ? What's going on? If anybody understands laws and business better than me, please let me know, because I am going off of Game of Thrones and story arcs and the hero's journey and things like that. And as a viewer, like, I don't know actual things about businesses and the DOJ and how things work. And I'm like, okay, if people know things, let me know down in the comments. But yeah, I thought this episode was great. I would be shocked if this is not the one they use for the Emmys, unless this is just the... This season is great. This show is so good. I love Succession. It's so good. Do we all love Succession? I think we all do. I think that's why we're here, right? But I'm just saying, I love this. And can we just say something really quick? Okay, anyway, I'm happy with Motor City Nerds. Like, share, subscribe. We have a winner for the giveaway. If you don't know, my buddy Kyle won, and I'm super excited for him, and I need to take it over to him. I'm super pumped for him, but of the Loki horns. But yeah, can we just talk about something really quick? Like, I already made a whole video about this, but I just want to say it again. This shit with this Astroworld bothered me, and if you want to watch my full video, you can. I don't want to get clicks and views on it. That's not why I made it. That's why I didn't put the fucker's name in the title, and that's why I didn't put the fucking festival in the title. But can I just say something to you guys? Be decent people. Just be a decent person. I'm not asking for much. Like, I don't care what you want to do. I don't care what you want to listen to. I don't care what you want to watch. But can we all just be decent human beings? And I know that my platform is not big, but I just want to say that to say it. Just be a decent human. Like, that is what is cool to me, and to have respect for human life. And this whole thing... it gives me the heebie-jeebies, and I don't like it, and it makes me sick, and I go to festivals all the time, and I've never seen shit like this. I've never seen behavior like this, and I've never seen a fucker not fucking shut their shit down. I think you're a punk-ass motherfucker for doing shit like this. I think you like people being hurt, and you're gross. That's what I think. That's what I think. That's what I think. That's why I'm not even gonna say your motherfucking name, because you're fucking gross. And I just want to say that, like, this is late. Like, once again, I don't know what is going on with YouTube, because I don't edit in YouTube. I edit on separate shit and then upload to YouTube, but it kept telling me everything is corrupted. And I was all ready. And somebody brought up the WWE, and I was like, I wish I looked like the WWE women, dude. Jesus. Like, I wish I looked that good. But no, I just wear crazy shit. That's all. Like, over there, I have, like, a giant bird skull, an Anubis headpiece. Like, I just wear crazy shit all the time, so it's like, it's normal for me. Like, dressing like a weirdo and wearing crazy shit is just normal to me, and if I'm not like that, then I'm like, I look homeless. Like, but I do think part of it is because I work in a factory. Like, I don't get to dress up when I go to work, and I don't get to look nice and shit, and so it's like, anytime I have a chance to be over the top, I do it. I like to be over the top. I like to be dramatic and over the top and crazy. Like, I like that. But that's what I mean about this motherfucker. I'm like, dude, I get the whole, like, crazy aesthetic and crazy, like, but I have respect for human life. Like, get the fuck out of here with that shit. That shit is gross to me. Like, everybody else, have a good day. Everybody else, except for these scumbags, have a good day. But yeah, I'm happy. I'm Motor City Nerds, and I hope you guys enjoyed this. And I'm getting really nice comments back and nice tweets and stuff, and I really like it. And it's just like, let's keep the positivity going. Let's be decent to one another. Like, that's cool to me. And I think we got House of the Dragon news. Do we get House of the Dragon news? Because I made a Targaryen video, but that's all messed up too. One video says the sound is gone, and another video says it's corrupted. And I'm like, what is going on here? I don't know if it's from my camera falling down. I don't know if it's from, I don't know what it is. So we'll find out in a minute, guys. Ex-boyfriend's live on Twitch right now. I'm the only one watching. I gave him a plug the other day. I'm not doing it on here. He doesn't get to have my YouTube. Let's see what he's doing. What is he playing, guys? I think it's Battlefield. He's really good. He's really good. Like, and I don't just say that. He is very good. If he's ever... Dude, there's no way that... Dude, are you fucking kidding me? There's no way. You're telling me that he's in a fucking party right now with somebody named Red Dragon? I was just talking about Red Dragon. How weird is that? He's gonna find out I'm watching. Can they see on Twitch? Can you see if I'm watching? Watch him yell like, fuck off, Abby. I'm getting out of here. I'm a creep, dude.